see everybody here. Lauren, that was so interesting. I learned a lot. And Caleb, I have some stuff that will align very well with what you were talking about. So thanks, guys. So we'll turn to the first one. We're going to be talking about a winter toolkit. And the toolkit is something that you can use personally for your own family, or possibly you could take it into your business if you have one and start talking to your staff about the things that you can do um, in the winter. So next one, right. And here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about your emergency kit. We're also going to be talking about a family communications plan, smartphone apps, conditions for care, and home safety. Let's go to the next one. So we're going to start right in. What's in your kit? Well, I mean, there can be a lot of different things in your kit. So when we talk about a kit, we want to talk about all the kinds of things that you would need, that you could think of, that could make you rather uncomfortable in the winter. I just put a few on here, and there's a lot more that you can get from the resources that I'll share with you later. But let's talk about the first one. It's rock salt and more environmentally safe products to melt ice on your walkways. I know that Caleb talked about helping your neighbors with slips, trips, and falls. This is a great way to go ahead and help them. You can use sand or gravel, non-clumping kitty litter. All helps to improve the traction that you can use at your homes. Snow shovels and other snow equipment. It seems like that makes a lot of sense to have that, but why? Why is it that all the stores don't have shovels just before the storm? We just saw that. Home Depot was out of all their shovels. Where did they go? Is it like the sock in the dryer? I don't know. Next one is the adequate clothing and blankets to keep warm, including coats, sweaters, hats, gloves, mittens, and those socks. Let's see if we can find them and put them into your kit. Keep your NOAA weather radio handy too. Those things are great. If you have one of those that you can wind up, those are awesome to get. So they can tell you what's going on. And often they're not terribly expensive and they don't need electricity. So your family communications plan, well, what is that plan? The best way to start making that plan is to sort of look at some of these questions. How will I receive emergency alerts and warnings? What are the different ways that you can receive them? Often you can check your television. Maybe you have an app on your phone that will tell you that emergency is coming. Maybe you'll hear it from your neighbors. But find out and put it into your plan. What is the way that you are going to receive those emergency alerts and warnings? How are you going to tell your family or your staff at work? What's your shelter plan? So a shelter plan can be a lot of different things. If you feel like you have to leave your home in the case of a disaster or some sort of storm coming in, then find out where that is and make sure that people know that's what you're going to do. The other part is the evacuation route goes right along with your shelter plan. You want to make sure that you have several different ways to get there. It's often that we take one route all the time. We never think about how we're going to get there. I have to go to FEMA's bunker when there's an emergency, and we all have to have 2 or 3 different ways to get there because disasters don't care what your roads look like. And if you need to get there, you need to figure that out. What is your family and household communication plan? Well, once you figure out all these questions that you have here, you want to make sure that they're written down and that you have an actual plan and everyone in your family knows it. You think about a fire plan in your house. This is an easy one to explain to you. If you are practicing your fire plan, everybody gets out of the house and they need to go to one place in the yard. Well, if you just leave it like that, everybody will go to different places in the yard. You need to be very specific in your plan and let everybody know that this is what our plan is. Do you need to update your emergency preparedness kit? Well, yeah. If you have a flashlight in there, if you have some snacks in there, you might want to make sure that those are refreshed every year. So every year, possibly pick a date. Pick a date in October to start really preparing for winter. always check with the Centers of Disease Control about the coronavirus and making sure that people have masks, everybody who's over 2. That's the new thing that we want to make sure that we put in our kit. Let's go to the next one. Technology. Now, I am not a huge fan of technology, but my goodness, when it works, it really works. I mean, look at us. We're on Zoom. We should be face to face, but here we are. So consider looking at your cell phone and seeing what kinds of apps you could put on there. American Red Cross has some great apps that will help with your communications plan, and has several other little things in there that can be really helpful. Nextdoor.com is an app that's really interesting. It's getting more and more traction. As a matter of fact, the state of Maryland uses Nextdoor.com as their statewide messaging system. They have different ways to communicate with different neighbors. Let's say only one part of your neighborhood is flooded. Nextdoor.com can just contact those people and not the whole state. And it's very targeted that way. If you have Nextdoor on your phone, you can also use it to help your neighbors. Let's say you want to create a group of volunteers to get together to shovel those walkways and driveways for your senior citizens or those who can't get out and do that themselves. Nextdoor.com has a mapping feature that will help you do that. Also, FEMA has an app as well that can alert you when storms are coming in and how to prepare for different storms. So check it out, see what kinds of apps that you have. Oh, also your own state may have an app in your community. Code Red is a very big one for most states. All of Rhode Island is code ready, and each of their communities use that to alert just that community about different things that might be going on. Really helpful kinds of things. So extreme weather dangers. And Caleb talked a lot about this, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but certainly frostbite is something to look at, and hypothermia is just that one step more. So let's go on to the next one. For FEMA and for the Medical Reserve Corps in all of our New England states, there is a program called Until Help Arrives. If you have extra time and you would like to learn how to really help your neighbors, ask your Medical Reserve Corps to put on an Until Help Arrives program for you. This program talks about what is it like to actually call 911 when you're in the middle of an emergency. How do you describe what's going on? What are the things that they really need? Then it goes into what kind of care do you do immediately? This program was developed after the marathon bombing in Boston, because people knew, many of the people who were at the finish line where the bomb went off knew how to tie off large bleeds. And so many people were saved due to stopping the bleed that they looked at that and they said, well, my goodness, this really worked. This was a good thing that happened out of this horrible incident. And they created this program called Until Help Arrives. So what can you do before other professional help gets there? This is a great program, and I recommend this to anyone. So we can go to the next one. Thanks, Ethan. So home preparedness. There are a lot of different things that you can do to look at your home before winter. Of course, I was out there today and looking at my rain gutters, and I didn't clear them. So of course, now I have icicles. That's something I should have done in the fall. We like to maintain our heating equipment and chimneys to make sure they're clean and inspected every year. I recommend that you take a list like this and you post it and use it every October to sort of go through and make sure that you have all these things done. I highlighted 2 things on here, and one was about the generators and barbecues. I am hearing more and more about people putting barbecues in their garage. Oh my goodness, let's not do that. Also, the other one is learn how to shut off your water valves. This is something that everybody should know how to do, just in case there's a pipe that bursts. Okay, let's go on. So when we're talking about preparedness, we like to talk about how do you put all of this together? You certainly want to have an incident plan. And the plan for families is looking at the different weather types and going, okay, what are we going to do if? Then the next part is you want to assemble those supplies that you need and not only keep them in your garage, but maybe you might want to have a few things ready for yourself in the house somewhere. Reducing the impact of hazards through mitigation. Well, we talk about that, about looking at a list of things that you should do in October uh, to reduce those eventualities of things going wrong. And participating and encouraging employees and family members to train. Take those courses like until help arrives and other types of things that can really help you, and encourage employees and everyone to participate financially. This is a really tough thing to do during this COVID environment. But think about this later on, to put some small amount of funds away so that you can leave your home and go stay somewhere else if you really need to. So let's go on to the next one. This is a community tool that we like to talk about for kids. If there are children that are prepared for disaster, they're prepared and not scared. And we have two different types of things that we offer, and you can get these from our FEMA warehouse, which I have on the resources, and you can get all of these things free. This coloring book, Prepare with Pedro, is great for kids second and third grade, has a story with it, and you can talk about all the different ways that kids can prepare themselves for any type of a disaster. And there's Ready to Prepare is also another, it's a game that you can play with kids about being prepared. So here are all the resources that I would love for you to either download or go ahead and ask the warehouse to send them to you. They're really great resources. Ready.gov has a lot of good information in there for you. The American Red Cross too has a program where it can help you with installing smoke detectors. And that program, I believe, is still going on, and it's certainly worthwhile looking into. In Massachusetts, I believe it's in all of our New England states at the moment. So check them out. It's a great resource, and the installation and the smoke detectors are free. So that's what I'd like to leave you with today. Lots of resources, lots of ways that you can prepare for all kinds of weather. So thank you. I'm going to send it back over to you, Ethan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arlene.